Good afternoon, everybody. I'll call to order the board study session for today, March 18th, 2025, here in Coachella, and I do have some remarks. Prior to roll call, I'd like to make clear for the record of this meeting, and it should be reflected in the minutes, that at least a portion of this board meeting is conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953, in that Director Nelson is in Shafter, California, and will be participating by speakerphone. In accordance with the Ralph M. Brown Act, the teleconference location has been identified on the agenda for this meeting. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance after roll call today. I could have done that first. Clerk Bermudez, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Good afternoon, President Powell.
Here.
Vice President Estrada.
Here.
Director Bianco.
Here.
Director Aguilar.
Here.
And Director Nelson.
Here.
Thank you.
Oh, good. All right, Director Nelson, can you hear me well?
I can hear you well, John.
And were you able to hear us up until this point?
I sure can.
Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
I do, and I have one posted.
It's posted, and is your location reasonably accessible to the public, such as any member of the public could participate in this teleconference from your location if he or she wished to do so?
It is, and no one is here.
Okay, good to know. And we will not be taking any action today because this is a study session. So if you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
About to watch a basketball game.
Okay. Let's see here. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment at this time? And I just say, the Youngs are back there. Your item, if you're interested in, is pretty deep into the agenda, so I'd be okay if you made your comments now if you didn't want to stick around, or you can stick around and make them at the time it comes up. Okay, great. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment at this time? Hearing none, we have one item of study for today, which is the fiscal 26 capital improvement plan presented by Carrie Oliphant. Floor is yours.
All right. Good afternoon. I'll wait till the presentation's pulled up. Okay. And then I can move it. Okay. Okay. So this is our agenda for today, similar to previous years. We'll just review our FY25 completed projects. We'll look at the budget comparison between last year, this year, the overall summary by funding source for this upcoming year, our proposed bond-funded projects, and then a detailed overview of each of the projects by fund. And then towards the end, Dan is here, and he's going to review the motor pool CIP. So we just have to keep that in mind and reserve 10 or 15 minutes for him.
And just on that note, I need to leave at about a few minutes before 3 o'clock, so
Okay.
and we're set till 3:30, but I don't think it'll take that long.
Okay.
I looked
Yeah.
through it. It's a lot of pages, but
Yeah, and I can speed up or slow down, however you prefer. And you can stop and ask questions as we go. But I'll try to keep it moving at a good pace. Okay, so these are our fiscal year 25 completed projects that will be completed, have already been completed or will be by June 30th. And so just a couple of note, some of the larger ones we've been working on for a few years, the Avenue 66 transmission main in the East Valley, our North Indio Regional Flood Control System in Sun City, Palm Desert area, North Indio, and we have our FY21 non-potable water off-site pipelines project that helps convey the recycled water from Warp 10. And this is our budget comparison between last year and this year. So for the FY26, the proposed budget is 187 million. I'll go through each of the columns briefly. So the second column there shows the approved fiscal year 25 budget when it was approved in June of 2024 at 158 million. Over the course of the last 6, 7, 8 months, we have amended that budget. So that's the third column, and that shows that it's been amended to 106 million. Column 4 shows the fiscal year 26 budget that was presented a year ago during the June board meeting, and that was proposed to be 173 million. And then column 5 shows what we're proposing for next year, FY26, at 187 million. And just briefly, some of the reasons for the reduction in the budget this year had to do with right-of-way acquisitions. It's taking a little longer than we had anticipated. Some of the construction schedules were elongated, which required the project to start later this year, so funds were moved into FY26. And then some just had to do with delays with other agencies or working with developers, because we have to budget developer-related projects, like for wells or reservoirs and things like that, and if they don't, build or react to the schedule as we think they're going to, then that affects our budget.
Carrie, is there a reason why the drops in canal and stormwater were much more significant than some of the other amendments?
Yeah, like with canal, we just had some issues with the property owners getting the easements that we needed, because we're relocating facilities, and if they don't fit within the 10-foot wide bureau easement, then we have to work with the property owners. And there were a lot of attorneys involved, so the discussions just kept getting drawn out.
Okay,
Yeah, but the funds were just re-budgeted into next year.
okay, thanks.
So am I safe to say that there are no new projects that were previously proposed?
Right,
Okay,
yes.
so there's no new projects. The reason why we went up 15 million or 14 million dollars was because we're carrying through projects that were not going to be completed in 2025, that will be completed in 26.
For the most part, there have been some new projects, but just a handful. And as we go through the slides, I can try to point those out.
And then have we budgeted in there, because we've seen that every project's costing a lot more? Have we budgeted any of that excess on there?
Yes, we've gone back and looked at the construction costs, and we've updated those.
Okay.
Yeah.
From what we approved in 2024?
Or
Yeah.
4, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I'll move on. So this is the overall summary by funding source. So pay-as-you-go funds is about 25% of the budget, grants and loans about 30, bond funding about 30, and developer funded and restricted reserves about 15%. So we continue to try to get loans and grants to fund our projects. The grants, typically fund the new construction, especially in the disadvantaged community area. So there's still a big need that we have to do more with our PAYGO funds, because those are the funds we use to address maintenance needs, replacements, upgrades to our existing pipelines, reservoirs, upgrades to our sewer treatment plants, improvements to the collection system. So just want to point that out. The projects that we've budgeted this year with the PAYGO funds and with the bond funds have been prioritized. And so those are extremely important projects, and we're hoping that those will continue to be supported and funded this next fiscal year. So that leads me to my next slide, which are the bond-funded projects. So these are the same projects that we've presented for the last couple of years when we first introduced this idea of going out for bonds. And so this list includes, like I said, our high priority projects. We're planning to issue bonds either in FY '26 or '27. There's 2 stormwater projects, there's 4 domestic water projects, and 3 sanitation projects. 1 domestic water project fell off, the Adams Street, because it was decided that we would use PAYGO funds for that. Any questions on that?
Just in general, I don't know if you get to it on the next slides, but just in the same way that you've listed the bond-funded projects, I'd be interested in seeing the projects that are being funded by the impact fees.
Okay, yeah,
I don't know if you have that.
I do.
in
On the
in slide?
individual slides, I'll point it out.
Okay, as you
As we
go
go
through each
through.
of the different funds?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
okay. Okay, so that leads to us into the specific funds now. So this is general district. And so for general district, we have a $10.5 million budget, and all of these projects are funded using PAYGO funds from the various funds. So each canal, domestic, stormwater, they all contribute to these projects based on the benefit that they serve. So these are the specific projects within the general district. There's 6. And again, it's all PAYGO. I'll keep going, just briefly go through the projects. So this is an ongoing project where we're upgrading and replacing the remaining remote terminal units at our well sites and lift station sites. I think we're in our final phase of this project, 500,000. It was sorry for the typo, it's actually 500,000 this year. Information systems upgrade, this is a Louis Maciel project. Replace the servers for the Palm Desert virtual environment. This next one's also Luis's, integrating Crestron capabilities into the boardroom, conference room, training room in Coachella. This one is engineering CIP project to upgrade the transfer switch at the Palm Desert Ops building. This one was awarded. The construction's ongoing, but the majority of the costs are going to be spent next fiscal year. This is our last phase of our Palm Desert Operations parking lot rehab. We have put it in the budget again, even though you told us not to go out to bid for it this year. We were hoping that we would be able to go out for bid on that next year, so we have placed it back in the budget. It is a necessary item. And then this is our ERP, planning utility billing system, which is ongoing. We're knee deep, neck deep in the middle of that project right now, so additional funds being spent next year on this. That's all of the general district projects. Are there any questions before I move on? Is this a good speed? Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So domestic water, it's proposed at 65 million. As you can see, there's multiple funding sources. Those are all listed here by percentage. These are all of the projects. The highlighted ones are the ones that are using PAYGO funds for ease of reference if you want to look back on this. There's 30 projects in all. The first 4 here are booster station upgrades. The first 3 are ongoing projects. They're in design. They're almost ready for construction. Those were slated for USDA funding. The 4th one is a booster station in Thunderbird, which we have brought to you to award or to go out to bid for. So that project is ongoing, and that project is one of our bond-funded projects. And then we have our hydromatic search tank replacement program. We've been doing this for the last couple of years, so we're just continuing. Phase 3 is is the actual construction or replacement. And then phase 4 will just be planning for replacing the next group next year.
So the hydro pneumatic tank is just a pressurized,
Pressurized vessel, and they're located at the well sites and the booster station sites.
does every well site have that?
Yes, majority. The majority of the sites do.
And they're typically that size right there?
Yeah, and the lower,
Okay, so.
it's the
It's the
long
smaller-
cylinder
it's the-
one.
It's the,
Yeah.
oh, it's not the big one.
No, it's this,
What's the big one?
that's a reservoir. So that's a hydropneumatic.
Oh, that's just
System.
small. Oh, it's just small one, okay. I've never seen
Yeah,
one that
it's
small.
small,
Okay.
yeah,
You should have people standing there.
yeah,
Well, that's nothing like the size of those other ones we have, those big ones.
right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so these absorb any they're used as a cushion, to absorb any water hammer in the system, or to provide storage for low demands, like so pumps don't cycle on and off. But they're old. They're all very old, 30, 40 years old, and they just, because they're a pressurized vessel, we want to make sure that we maintain them or replace them when they reach the end of their useful life, because it could be a safety issue. Okay. Reservoir 7101-2, this is a USDA funded project. It's a loan and grant, and it's currently under construction. It's a 1 million gallon reservoir in North Shore. This is another reservoir. This is located in Thunderbird, and it's in design. It will be constructed after we do the booster station that I previously talked about. And this is also one of the bond-funded projects. This reservoir is a 7 million gallon reservoir that's going to be located in our North Indio Sun City pressure zone, just north of Del Webb, Palm Desert. It is partially developer funded. Pulte's putting in a new project called Desert Retreat in North Indio, and they need reservoir storage, so they're funding part of it, and we're funding the other part of it with the water system backup facility charge. So Director Estrada, this is a developer fee,
Okay,
or one of the uses of where we're spending the developer fees.
thank you. I see that funding source, that's helpful.
Yeah, and then this is a similar situation. This reservoir is located in Thermal, and it is partially needed for a development called Thermal Ranch. And we're taking advantage of upsizing the reservoir there. So again, another WSBFC project.
Hey, Carrie, could I go back to slide 19 with a question?
Sure.
So on slide 19, this reservoir in North Shore, right? It's a 1 million gallon reservoir for $5.26 million. And the next slide is on slide 20 is a 500,000 gallon reservoir at 4.23 million. This one seems incrementally more costly than 7101-2. Do you know why that might be?
Yeah, it has to do with the location. The one in Thunderbird is a very constrained site, and there's other considerations we have to take into account working within that community. So there's only certain times of the year there that they want us to work, and so we're taking all of that into consideration with how the costs might come in to play. But it is it's a very tight site. Within a community where, you know, whereas the
Yeah.
North Shore one is in an open location.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, this is these are two existing reservoirs that we have. One was built in 1986 and the other was built in 1995. So we're just inspecting, repairing, and rehabilitating the tanks so that we can just continue to maximize their useful life.
Where is this?
These are in La Quinta. They're located towards the end of the cove at the end of Avenida Bermudez. So they serve the La Quinta pressure zone. This reservoir is also a maintenance project. It was built in 1981, and so again, it's just inspecting, making sure that necessary repairs are made. It's a 1 million gallon, so just trying to continue to maximize the use out of it. This is in Palm Desert. Palm Desert? Pretty sure. 40, yeah, I think it's north. It's just north of Interstate 10 in Palm Desert,
Thank you.
but west of Del Webb Sun City.
Okay. I actually was curious about this because the estimate for this one, which is 1 million, is $1.6 million. And then on the prior slide, the cost was similarly, it was like slightly more expensive, but for including a $4 million gallon tank. So what is that?
Yeah, I would have to look into the
I'm
details
just
on
curious
that.
what you
This one's a 1 out of 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems, It should be-
there could be economies of scale
Yeah.
for doing two
Okay.
at once.
Maybe one needs more work, I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably it. Okay, but
okay.
okay. This is our treatment plant that we're upgrading. The well is located in Mecca on Hammond Road. So this is our ARPA-funded project, along with a little bit of contribution from our water system backup facility charge. This project's almost complete. It's supposed to be complete late summer.
And ARPA, is that a grant?
ARPA was, yes, they're grant funds
That's
that we got from the county. The American Rescue Protection,
Right.
yeah. And then this is our favorite project, our CRUM 6 treatment evaluation and design. So you've recently, received the update on the stannous chloride. So now what we're working on is the compliance plan. And we're going through, and we currently have about 5 alternatives that we've been looking at. We're costing them out. We're running the hydraulic model to make sure that they work. And once we have them refined a little more, we'll be presenting them in a workshop. But we did include $2 million in next year's budget to submit the compliance plan and then begin the design on the selected alternative.
So alternatives include drilling new wells.
Yeah, they range.
Moving away from those areas, all those things.
Yeah,
Plus treating the ones that we already have to see,
Right.
look at all those options, okay?
Yeah, yep, there's a range, all treatment, some treatment, drilling new wells, hybrids, yeah. This is a new project. This is an existing, treatment facility in Mecca. It currently, it removes arsenic from 2 of our wells, and it was recently permitted to also remove chromium 6. So this is the foundation is in significant need of repairs, and this is a critical facility that we need to stay in working order so that we stay in compliance with both arsenic and chromium-6 for the Mecca area.
What's causing that foundational issue?
Doesn't look good.
Treatment chemicals,
The treatment, the chemicals,
strong base and
it's strong base anion exchange in there, and so this is a 20-year-old facility, if you can believe that. I think it went into service in 2005,
I know, I was there at the groundbreaking.
yeah.
Well, you broke the ground.
Yeah, no kidding.
So
This is the second groundbreaking.
It's the second round.
Second groundbreaking.
okay. Dale Kyler, this is a redesign. We had originally gone out we were in construction. We are having to regroup on this project due to dewatering issues. So this is also a USDA loan funded project. So this was reduced from this year's budget, amended out, and is being added into next year's just for the redesign portion, but not the construction just yet. This is an ongoing planning grant that we have to look at an alignment for phase 3 and 4 of the Highway 86 transmission main. Basically, this would pick up where the new transmission main stops at Avenue 86 at County Line, and this would be a new pipeline that would go down into Salton City. This is the Avenue 66 transmission main, which is just in next year's budget for final project closeout punch list items, but we are hoping that it's complete and in service within the May-June timeframe.
Can you just go back to the
Sure.
Dale Kyler Road
Yeah.
water main?
Yeah.
Just so, why is the pipe corroding?
Oh, because it's the same situation as Sun City it was. Well, no, this situation is different. It was wrapped, but it wasn't wrapped with the right DIPRA approved wrap. And so it's cracked and water has gotten in between the pipe and the wrap.
Okay. Have we seen have you put a spreadsheet together like you have for Talavera on the leaks and how many we've had and all of that?
We have that information.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just this area in Mecca. There's just this phase. Cause it was ductile iron pipe, high groundwater higher groundwater levels. So we're replacing this with plastic pipe when we go in and do the work.
Right.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to get a sense on how bad it was compared to Talavera because we have so many of these projects to do.
Right.
So I mean, if something needs to be cut, maybe.
Well, this was gonna be funded using USDA funds, if there's, yeah.
Well, it's not a grant though.
No, it's a
Yeah,
loan,
So it's, we have to pay it back.
Yeah.
So it's not free.
yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to get a sense of how severe this is. I mean, not that it doesn't need to be done, but maybe it's one project that we can
And next-
wait on because maybe Talavera is more of need.
And next year, we're just proposing 300,000 just to do the redesign.
I know, but once we get going, it's hard to
We
pull
have-
back. That's why
we have
sometimes
made
we need to stop these things or postpone them a year before we even spend the 300.
We have made some commitments, though, to the county, that we will come back and fix the road, once we install this project, and we did purchase the materials from the contractor. So we have those in Connex boxes at Warp 4, and so I don't think we want those to sit too long before we use them. So I just so you understand all of the.
So you're telling me our hands are tied on this one? There's
No, I'm
nothing
not.
the board can do?
No, I'm just telling you all of the issues with this one.
Yeah, there's a considerable backstory to this.
this one may not be the one that we want to focus on cutting. Okay, Valley View, this is our other domestic water consolidation project. And this is a grant-funded project. It will consolidate 9 small water systems. And we've just been trying to get the right-of-way wrapped up with this one. This is the Sun City Palm Desert Phase 2B. This one is about 99% designed, and we're looking to get this out to bid in the next month or so. This is also a bond-funded project.
This is the one that's similar to the other, the one with the leaks, right?
Correct.
And,
Yeah, there's a picture of the corroded pipe up there.
And we had like 5 phases,
We have more like 10-ish.
10 phases. And so we've already done one phase.
We have done like 1.5 phases.
Okay. And
We're prioritizing based on the leaks. This phase has a lot of leaks.
and do we have a sense of how we're gonna roll all those 10 phases over the next 5 years, or is it longer? Just in general.
Yeah, it's in the 5-year CIP, the
All
way
of 'em?
it's laid out, yeah. They're not all in the 5-year CIP, but but they're
Yeah,
here for
yeah,
reference,
I
if you
just-
wanna
yeah,
look. They're all
I just-
listed,
yeah,
and you
I
can
want-
see how they lay out.
Okay. Thank you.
Some of those you're not seeing much leakage
Right.
activity, so you kind of need to keep your eye on it for
Right,
as we go forward in the future to see if it starts leaking or not.
right,
Yeah.
right. But this one is definitely a priority. This one we need to get done.
But this was in the 5-year CIP 5 years ago.
Probably
So-
longer than that.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, and then this, this is the total project. You're showing all the different phases.
Yeah.
Right,
Um,
this is 2B,
This
phase
is
2B.
okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And this is Talavera Phase 1. We went out of order, so this is, we've done Phase 2, this is Phase 1, and this one is very critical. We've had a few leaks just this year.
Not in here.
It's on the line.
It's online.
This phase.
What's wrong?
This phase is more critical than 2B.
No, they're both equally critical.
Well done.
And they're both listed on the bond-funded projects, and they've been listed there, and this one is also ready to go out to bid. The design's been completed, so.
Yeah, I was just showing Director Estrada the spreadsheet that showed the different phases of both Sun City and Talavera.
Okay.
And that's where? In an email?
No, it's attached
It's on the
to
board.
the study session
Okay,
items.
It's just not on this.
No, it's not on the handout.
Thank you.
Okay, we're good?
Yes.
I want everybody's full attention.
No, we're
Sorry.
You have a lot of projects.
I feel like we've seen this one before.
Well, you have.
Yeah,
You
A
have.
lot. Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
So equal priority. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
This is the regional intertie that we have with Desert Water Agency. That's part of a management agreement that we have with them. They're taking the lead on it, but we do have to reserve some funding for it.
So is there, I'm not trying to slow us down, but what if their water quality is different than ours? I mean, when we do the report of our water quality every year, they do the same report. Do we need to supplement our report with their report if we actually start moving water across that boundary? I just wonder what kind of issues it raises,
Yeah, this would just be in an emergency, but we
Right.
can definitely look at all that. This is still in the very early stages of design.
No, I know, yeah, no, there's no connection right now, but,
Right. Yeah.
In a situation like this, how would you account for water use?
It's metered.
There's a meter
Yeah,
on that
there's a
go
meter,
across. Okay.
yeah, on both sides.
probably a great idea. Just
Mutual aid.
Curious what.
This, we have another, this would be a second one? Second one.
Yeah, and then we have to do ones.
And then we have ones with Indio that are, they're just for emergency.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, is it an emergency for them or emergency for us?
Either way.
Both.
Doesn't make any difference.
Either way, but it's more, I think it works more in their favor than ours due to the pressure differentials.
Well, that's just to figure out what to do.
Yeah, we're just in the design phase,
Yeah.
planning phase right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't know how much it's gonna cost or what it entails.
No, and we're just, it's the 600,000?
That's the construction. And that's our cost contribution for the project.
But, right, just to do just
No.
to see what needs to be done.
No, that's the entire thing. That's the entire.
It's
Oh.
not complicated.
Okay.
There's a grant component that's covering most of it, and then we have to pick up the rest and share that cost with DWA.
Okay. Okay.
This is a well rehab project. We took an existing well, we looked at the water quality at different zones. We've screened off or closed off the bottom half, and it looks very promising to now be below the chromium 6 level of 10 parts per billion. And so we're just closing out this project. And we have another one proposed for next year. And, you know, it was around 750,000, which is a lot less expensive than drilling a well or adding treatment. So it's definitely worth pursuing.
So what's the reduction in well capacity when we do something like this to adjust for chromium 6?
We're not seeing one. We had significant amounts of screening, you know, 300, 400 feet of screening, and we closed off, I think, 100 feet. And so we haven't really seen that significant of a reduction.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
This is an existing well. The well was drilled. I don't know, the MCC, the electrical components for this well just seem to be off in some black hole. We have sent letters, we have called, we have every 2-week meetings with the supplier. So we're trying to do everything we can, and that's what we're waiting on, is just to get the electrical component, and then we'll put it out to bid to have the pumping plant part of it constructed. This is a developer-funded well in Verano, which is formerly Rio Vista over there in Cathedral City. Again, this is dependent on the developer's schedule, but we have to budget for it. This is the well in Cotino. This is the one that we just awarded at one of the recent board meetings. So this one is getting underway. It's developer funded. And then we have a project where we're going to be repairing stucco on some of our chemical buildings at our well sites. There's 10 of them, just to protect the building and the equipment inside. And that's it for domestic water. Are there any questions? No? Okay, I'll move on to canal. So the canal fund, 15.3 million. The main source of funding is from the bill funding, the USBR funding. There's 7 projects. Again, these aren't new projects. These are ones that have been in the 5-year CIP carried over. Some of them carried over from this year. The L4 pump station is finally getting underway again. We had to wait for IID and the power issue. That's getting resolved, so this project will be complete soon, within the next several months. This is a division box for one of the irrigation laterals. The box itself is over 65 years old, so that's going to be replaced along with the irrigation lateral.
Can you go back to the L4 pump station?
Yeah.
Where is that? And-
Oh, Silver Rock. It's adjacent to the canal and adjacent to the Silver Rock development. And so we had phase one. Phase one involved relocating the pump station to a new location. And phase two is to outfit it with the pumps and the electrical equipment. We were trying to work.
To do what?
It provides water to customers within La Quinta, irrigation water, to some of the golf courses in La Quinta.
We relocated it at the developer's request because it was not, they wanted it moved. And so we've moved it now. And we're still waiting on IID to make the electrical connection. We were hoping to benefit from the electrical work the developer was doing himself, but you can't wait forever.
But how, so how is it operating now?
Oh, the existing one, right, the existing one's still in service. Yeah, the existing L4 pump station is still
In service?
in service, yes.
And we didn't pay to have this moved, the developer paid to have this done.
No, we did, right? We paid to have it moved.
Sure?
It benefited us as well because it was part of our, La Quinta irrigation distribution project, where we put in new pipelines within La Quinta to serve the mountain course, dunes, traditions,
Their city pond.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it goes back a few years.
So it says for future customers, what future customers would be over there if we're already doing, if we're already doing the golf course?
There's some potential improvements to Traditions, who's not taking their full demand.
Dave, can you come up, because it won't capture those?
Because this is a lot of money.
Yes, there's some future customers up on what we would call the West Branch that may be taking, there's some customers in Traditions, or Traditions is not taking their full supply. In fact, they're struggling meeting their 80%. So this would help with that. There's some improvements that they can make on their site that would allow for that as well.
Okay. It just seems like it's a lot of money. It's for low-hanging fruit. So, but I don't know everything about the project.
I mean, it's almost done, so
Yeah.
there's not much left.
Right.
Well, there's 7 million left.
No,
No,
There's
that's-
only 500,000.
Oh, there's not 7.
and it's already done.
That's,
I thought we were talking about for 2026. Well, this is the budget for 2026, and you have
Right.
$7 million there.
No, that's the
it's
project.
the parentheses,
total
look at
project.
the amount in parentheses.
Oh, okay.
The
I'm
bulk of the
sorry.
remaining costs are for IID to drop the power.
Okay, I see. I got confused there. Okay. Apologize.
It's okay.
And then remind me, because I thought that the project you described with the irrigation line, I thought for some reason that was in part of the East Rack.
Oh, yeah, the east.
Yeah, the 120.8, I believe we funded that through the canal fund. It was an existing irrigation lateral.
Yeah, but just so I'm not confused,
You're right, the irrigation distribution project was from the East Rack,
from
right?
East Rack, but
Yeah.
this component
Is
is
canal.
on canal. All right, thank you. I just
Because they were serving the east Gulf, east,
Yeah, they were serving the existing golf courses.
yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to get some clarification on where the projects were housed, or if somehow they're being captured in canal, but then somehow being transferred over to East Rack, but they're separate.
They're separate,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay,
But this pump station pumps the water
to those
to,
pipes.
yeah.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Okay. All right, we have the division box we talked about. We have this, 11964-75. This is a phase 2 project. This is underway. This is under construction. We have, this is the lateral that goes with the division box. Sorry, they're out of order. This is another irrigation lateral replacement project. We have another division box replacement project and the lateral that goes with it. And those are all of the canal projects. Are there any questions on any of those?
Most of these are from that WIFIA loan? Is that
They're
the-
from the bill, bipartisan infrastructure law through the USBR.
That's-
The WIFIA loan was
Wif-
for the stormwater projects.
Okay, yeah,
That was 100 million.
yeah, for the north flood, for the flood channel.
This, we got 60 million
And then,
for the, for,
yeah, and we identified several
for
projects.
10 irrigation projects.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, East Rack, the majority of the budget is for its share of general district, and there's one project. It's just, we're reserving some funds there for the, punch list and, remaining items that we're working through on the Oasis project. We haven't released retention yet to the contractor, so just cleaning up still.
What was the difference between phase 1 and phase 2?
Phase 1 was the reservoir, and reservoir 1, or was one of the reservoirs, and
the Oasis Tower replacement.
and replacing the Oasis Tower.
Okay,
Well, yeah, but the Oasis Tower is still there. So they
got
go-
it. And then, so phase 2 is the bulk of the whole.
Phase 2 was the pipelines and the 4 pump stations.
Alright.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Stormwater. The budget for next year is about 28 million. There's generally 2 main funding sources in stormwater. Well, this year it's gonna be PAYGO and the bond financing. The WIFIA loan is phasing out because we've completed those 2 projects. So there's 10 proposed projects. For the thermal drop project, this is the one where we completed the construction on this, and now we're just doing post-construction activities, which are the mitigation, and then working on the letter of map revision. The North Indio Regional Flood Control Project, that one's essentially complete. Just doing some minor closeout, and then we'll be processing the letter of map revision on that one next year. So there are some funds being included to cover those costs. This is slope protection adjacent to Warp 10. This is part of the Palm Desert Groundwater Replenishment Project. So when we build that project, we'll be installing slope protection along the Warp 10 frontage.
Surprised it wasn't there.
This is on the other side of Cook Street, the west side of Cook Street, in front of the first tee. This is again a slope protection project. It's being combined with the Warp 10 slope protection project and the groundwater replenishment facility. So it'll all happen at one time. And then we have our Thousand Palms flood control project. We're continuing with the land acquisition. We're focusing on putting construction documents together for phase 1, which is the reach there on Avenue 38. North Cathedral City. This is another one of our regional stormwater projects we've talked about in the past. This project's ready to go. We are still waiting on Kinder Morgan to relocate their gas pipeline. So once they do that, we can put the project out to bid. I don't really want to give you an idea of a timeline because it just keeps shifting, because we're dependent on
Been
them.
kind of an ongoing problem, isn't it?
Yeah. So we keep following up, having regular meetings, but they have their internal process.
And priorities, apparently.
This is the Coachella Valley Multiple Species Habitat Conservation Plan Constructive Wetlands Project. There's been some internal meetings about relocating the site. We've looked at purchasing a different site. Currently, Environmental Services is looking at the viability of that site and whether it will meet all of the objectives that are required of the project. This is the Thousand Palms Channel Improvement Project. This is the last phase of our North Indio Regional Flood Protection. This channel will connect to our Coachella Valley Stormwater Channel and convey the flows that end up in Sun City Shadow Hills. And this is an ongoing easement renewal project where we continue to try to work with the Bureau of Indian Affairs to renew our flood easements in the stormwater channel so that we can have access to do maintenance. Again, that they are on their own schedule there because we have to deal with the BIA and then they deal with the allottees that own the different properties. So it's a little bit of a long process. And we have our ongoing rainfall gauge installation program. We're proposing to install another 3 next year. That's it for stormwater. If there's any questions?
I don't have a question, but I'm wondering, we have our 2x2 coming up with Cathedral City in the next month or so. Can we just add this Kinder Morgan problem to the agenda for discussion?
Yep.
Thank you.
So West Replenishment, there's one project. It's the Palm Desert Groundwater Replenishment Phase 2. It's funded using the old developer fees, the supplemental water supply charge. So we're hoping to get started on that next year. We're waiting to resolve the issues with the mitigation site before we can start construction on this project, and we're making some headway there. That's it for those funds. This is the last fund, sanitation, and then I'll hand it over to Dan for the motor pool. So any questions so far?
Yeah, Jim, Carrie, I have a commitment at 2:30, so this is probably a good segue to just say I'm going to drop off. I'll watch the rest of the presentation later tonight, and I appreciate all the good information we're getting today. So with that, I'll drop off. Thanks, John.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so sanitation, the proposed budget's $74 million. You can see there's a variety of funding sources with this fund. We do a good job of getting loans and grants, especially for the non-potable water projects. So these are all of the projects. There's 37. The sanitation projects amount to $55 million, and then the non-potable water projects amount to $15 million. We have our Warp 4 Phase 1 improvements. You've heard a lot about that project. We're looking to finish the design of that project, but we do have, or potentially have, the $39 million grant from the USBR for that.
Where are we at with, did we figure out that whole petition thing?
No, the change petition has not been resolved yet. We're finalizing the environmental impact report, and the change petition will follow, like the resolution of that will follow.
Do you think we'll have to deal with that this next fiscal year? Or?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is a new project. We're looking at evaluating these 2 generators at Warp 4. So I will just point that out. Warp 7 aeration projects, aeration improvements. This is an ongoing construction project. This is the $30 million project that was recently awarded. So 10 million is estimated to be spent in FY '26, so that's a big bulk of the sanitation budget. And then we have the Warp 7 Phase 1 recycled water expansion. This will expand the existing facility from 2.5 MGD to 5 MGD. This one will go out to bid later in the year once we have all of our grant and loan applications approved. We typically get the Clean Water SRF loan and the WIN, the USBR WIN grants for these projects. But we just have to make sure we do everything in order so that we can qualify for those funding sources. So that's an ongoing project.
We have a place for that to go to,
Yes,
the 5 million?
yes,
Okay, it has a home.
yes. Oops. This is a new project, the Warp 7 treatment study, just evaluating the water quality parameters to determine if we have to do anything additional to meet our permit requirements. Warp 10 headwork?
Is that the one where we had that back and forth with the regional board this last year?
No, that was for Warp 10. Yeah.
Okay,
This one has similar requirements, and so we just want to do a little a study to look at
we were pointing at this one as a
as an
basis
example,
of getting
Yeah.
what we were asking for at 10.
right?
And so we do this study, and if doesn't come out the way we wanted to hopefully come out, what do we have to do then?
Well, we have a couple of options. We always have zero, recycled water, zero discharge, and or doing some other improvements at Warp 7 so that we can meet the total nitrogen of 10.
The recycled option was that's been something that we've been considering also, right?
Yeah, we're geared up to
do that.
To do that. Yeah.
Okay, and we've done the analysis that, like Director Bianco said, there's a home for it,
Yes.
right? I think some of their
Right.
property.
The Young's Farmland is one of the projects. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you.
Warp 10 headworks improvements. This is an ongoing project. This is currently in design, and we hope to potentially get started on this next year. The Warp 10 T1 filter assessment. The T1 is a tertiary facility, so it helps with our recycling water. This project is currently out to bid, so we'll be bringing it to you in the next month or so with an award. The lift station 5511, this is in Mecca. This project's ongoing. This was another project that had received ARPA funding, and then we funded the other half with our sanitation capacity charges, so our developer fees. This is our lift station 8003 upgrade. This lift station's on Cook Street. Again, this is really close to being finalized from a design standpoint and looking to put it out to bid next year. This next one is a new project that was added. It's an evaluation of a lift station over by Grand Champions. It's just $50,000 to evaluate flows and maintenance and look at whether there's any upgrades needed. This project has been in the budget. It's ready for construction. We are just waiting for South Coast Air Quality Management District to give us our permits. But it's an ongoing project, not a new project. We have our ongoing maintenance program to rehabilitate manholes, and so we're doing one this year. This is a continuation of a new project next year that'll look at 18 manholes. these are our grant-funded septic to sewer projects in the eastern Coachella Valley. They probably look familiar to some of you. We've been talking about them for a while. They are grant-funded. There's one on Avenue 66. There's a Valley View one, which is over on Airport Boulevard, and then there's the Oasis Mobile Home Park. There's getting some of those additional. It's a different Oasis Mobile Home Park, not
Yeah, we did the water for it already.
right.
Yeah.
Right. It's the Milkasian one, not the other one. And then we get into our non-potable water connections. So we've tried to break these out so that it's easy to walk through. These are our Warp 7 non-potable water connection projects. These Talavera, Shadow Hills High School, Shadow Hills North Course, those are in design for next year. And then the projects that we'll be bidding this year for construction next year include Young's Farmland and the Garden Fellowship non-potable water connection. So that's all for Warp 7.
Hey, Carrie,
Yeah.
I don't know if the Youngs wanted to make a public comment or not, but we could do it now if you want to.
Sure, it's fine.
Just in case I have to leave.
Sure, no problem.
I've got about 17 minutes.
I only have about 3 more slides.
Yeah.
We still have motor pool.
Well, we've got the beautiful picture up there, so.
And then we have Dan too. We gotta remember Dan.
Yeah, right, Dan. Hi, Greg.
I'll try to make it quick.
Good.
Gregson Young, partner in Cocoa Pod Nurseries, Deputy Young Palm Trees. We actually originally put the meter on the well voluntarily in 2004. And then in 2019, as costs were going up and we were trying to save water, groundwater, we actually talked to Olivia about bringing in canal water originally, and then the non-potable water. Originally, they were looking at maybe towards the end of 2021 having it all finished, and then it just got delayed and got delayed. And the last thing is from engineer Jignesh, is that we're looking at 2027 or beyond, because they're waiting for grants, and we just were needing some help trying to get this thing going, because the cost is just going through the roof on the paying the West Valley replenishment fees and everything.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Questions?
We had
Hi.
planted out about 15 acres with the anticipation that we were going to get canal water. So it's becoming more and more painful. So if there's anything that we can do, we had originally actually brought it to the attention that, hey, why don't we get some canal water so that we can cut down on the amount of water we're pumping? And everybody thought that was a really good idea.
Right.
And then we kind of got put behind the project coming up publicly and kind of put behind other projects. So if there's any way we can get some help, we surely would appreciate it.
Right, right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie, so that the Warp 7 improvement project, is that required before this
Well,
connection can be made?
we've separated it out. Like I said, we were, in order to get the grant and the loans, we have to go through quite a process. So
Right.
this project was tied in with our Warp 7 recycled water project, the upgrade from the 2.5 to 5.
Right.
But we've separated it out so that we can, because the design is complete, so that we can start construction on it before we get the Warp 7 recycled water one funded.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I know this has been in the works for quite a while, but trying to get all the pieces in place so that it's constructible, I guess, with the right funding and everything.
Yeah, and
Takes time.
the right environmental reviews and all that, and having to wait for we're dealing with 2 agencies. We're dealing with the Bureau for the wind funding, and they have specific environmental requirements, and you can't start construction till things are approved by them, and they have to do the NEPA part, and then we have the state funding. So You know, we apologize that it has taken so long, but it just got wrapped up in all these bureaucratic processes, so.
Is it more, the approvals than the money?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Just so I can understand, we already approved the expansion of the treatment capacity at Warp 7?
No, that hasn't been brought to you for board approval.
Okay, and so what have we approved? Have we approved anything? Because there's several components you're talking about, right? There's the actual pipe, I think?
Yeah, no, nothing, you have not approved anything for Warp 7,
Okay.
just the design. I
Just the
mean,
design.
The design.
For
yeah.
the expansion of the lines or the
And,
treatment?
and, for all of these projects.
There was never a proposal to expand the capacity of the treatment plant itself,
The design.
the design?
Yes, but we haven't put it out to bid, and so we haven't brought forth the item to ask you for approval to go out to bid
Yeah.
yet.
And this design's complete to the pipe
The pipe design is complete for
And-
Young's Farmland
and the
and Garden.
design for the treatment
Yes.
expansion is
Mhm.
complete?
Yes,
Okay, so now it's a matter of getting figuring out.
we're getting through the environmental process and getting those approvals done, and then getting the loan and the grant approved from the state, Clean Water SRF, and
Okay.
USBR WIN funding.
And, all right, and then we'll be ready for construction.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, crazy.
yeah, there's a lot of work with getting the loans and grants. I mean, they're worthwhile, but there is a lot of work and
they
there's a
don't let you-
process to
They
follow.
don't let you build it before you get.
No, no. mm-mm. So, okay. Moving on, Warp 10.
Pay out of pocket.
So these are our on-site non-potable water projects that we're going to bid and go into construction in FY '26. You can see the whole list there. And then there's the off-site non-potable water projects that are in construction currently. The Warp 10, low pressure capacity expansion, Marriott, Emerald Desert, those are all under construction right now. And then we have our connections that will be in design in 2026. Those you can see for yourself. And then these are our ongoing non-potable water connections. These are the on-site designs. So there's off-site and there's on-site and there's some in construction and some in design. So I tried to lay it out here. You can look at it at your leisure. So in summary, our FY '26 CIP is $187 million. We'll continue to pursue the loans and grants as much as possible, other funding mechanisms such as the bonds. You know, we continue to try to execute at or above 75%. We're following the same process, board approval prior to advertising for bid, and presenting the design award as a board action item, so you have the opportunity to say stop or go at the design level.
So, good question. On these non-potable water connections that are in design, these are any of these only canal water?
No.
So it is going to be able to take
From Warp 10, they're always a blend.
always a blend? Okay. But they're not, none of these projects are gonna rely solely on canal water.
Right.
Okay. And so have we looked at what if we don't have the canal water? Will there still be a use for these projects for half the year? Or, I mean, what if? I mean, we need to look at that, right? Because we're looking at spending a lot more money on more non-potable water connections, right? And
This
that has to be worth its while in.
This
in
is it. This is just wrapping up the ones that we've started. So we have all the off-site pipelines, and
This is design though, right?
This
Am I
is
reading-
basically wrapping up the on-site design to connect them to the off-site pipeline, so we don't have the stranded assets. And then this is it. This is all for Warp 10.
I know.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is even the on-site, wrapping them up, if you have a sense of how many there are, I don't know if it's 5 or 10, what is that cost, what is that total cost of that? Because I think that's what we're getting at is, what's the commitment that's left? Is it 10 million, 20 million?
No.
Is it less than that? I mean, I think we get that this is the on-site, but there's gonna be a cost to that.
Yeah, I kinda got the sense that Director Bianco was asking about the Colorado River water availability, not necessarily about the cost, but I
That's
could.
correct. That's right.
Yeah,
I'm worried, I mean, when we talk about stranded assets, you know, we'll have a bigger stranded asset once we actually construct it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we
but-
can't
and we
use
use
But
it.
that's when we decided to go west instead of going sort of south. Because there's all those courses in Indian Wells that we bypass because they're probably gonna be on Colorado River water.
Right.
This is all being driven because you need to dispose of that recycled water and they don't have
Correct.
anywhere to go with
Yeah,
it.
but I think
Correct.
he's saying is it dependent on canal water? Can it be fully sustained by warp 10?
No, but that's why it's an interruptible system.
Yeah, and you still need it in order to get rid of it.
Okay.
During those times of
Yeah.
year when you have lower demand and
And
higher.
I'm all
It'll be
for
less.
Higher
for
supply.
that. I just, you know,
No.
worry, I mean, we all do, right? I mean,
Right.
because we don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, it would cause those customers to go back to their wells more frequently if
Yeah.
we didn't have the Colorado River water.
Correct.
Yeah,
But we gotta
absolutely.
get rid of the wastewater.
Yeah, it's definitely an interruptible supply. We have signed agreements with each of the connections that they understand is an interruptible supply. And they have to be able to prove to us that they have the means so that they can switch over to a well or domestic water, but most of them are well. But, you know, the priority here is basically trying to get rid of all the effluent that's coming in within Ward 4 and have it recycled and have a beneficial reuse. You know, that's the main priority for Ward 10. And I think we get all these customers connected, we'll be able to reach that. And we have installed all the infrastructure for the offsite to be able to get to a point where we're able to meet our permit, like we have laid out.
That's understood. What's your ballpark number of what the cost of the remaining connections?
It's right here.
Just the ballpark, just trying to get a sense of it.
So we have 15 million, but that's in next year's budget, but that includes the off-site that are under construction, so 680. So we'd have to go through and just take that out. I mean,
Yeah, just ballpark.
Fine.
Just
Somewhere in the $9 million range.
yeah.
That's what, in my
yeah, just
back
ballpark.
up,
Yeah.
backhead calculations, we're about $9 million away from being done.
All right, that's not that huge. I thought it was probably bigger, like 20. But all right, thank you.
Okay,
And you're
I'm done.
just about done, okay.
I'm done,
So-
so,
So Dan,
Yeah, and just, I'm not
you
that
doing
worried
CI
about
You doing the motor pool?
motor pool, but
He said 2 minutes.
Carrie,
Wait,
I know, I do have a couple minutes left. I just wanted to say, first of all, excellent presentation. You're
Thank
kind of
you.
giving us everything we've asked for, which I really do appreciate.
oh, okay, thank you.
As far as information, and it's just a lot. I mean, what was it? It's way more than we've ever done in in terms of total dollars, and you know, I don't know how we can do all of
Yeah,
this.
it's a lot.
yeah.
It's
well, that-
just a massive number.
John, that was kind of my question, because, first of all, great job on your completion rates, but we're going from $106 million to almost $190 million in project work next year, and I'm just curious, like, what's gonna change in terms of your resources to be able to get that big lift done this next year, because it seems,
I mean, it won't all get done.
A lot of it, though, is
There's no
just
way.
the projects are expensive, so, you know,
yeah, well,
and so
yeah,
it's
so,
not
I get that.
necessarily that many more projects, it's just that
Yeah, I just
they
wanna
have
get a
big
sense of how
dollar
realistic it is.
amounts.
I got that.
Yeah.
My last question is, there's about $50 million worth of USDA money, in your proposed budget. And, some of is most of that secured, or part of it secured?
We have we have about 27 million that is secured, or, well, somewhat secured. Definitely the reservoir that's under construction right now, but we're waiting to hear back from them on the extension for the 22 million.
Okay. Okay, great, thank you, I appreciate it, good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It was great. I would like you guys to see, because I do feel it's more than just me feeling that this number is massive. I mean, massive. When I remember we started, and I've only been on the board for 8 years, and our number was 100 million was so big. Like, that was a massive number, and now we're almost going to double it. But I think maybe you guys should go through and prioritize the ones that you guys want the most, and give us numbers, and then at least we, instead of us fighting you on us saying, we don't think this one is needed like I just did, and you guys telling me, no, we have to do that one, and I believe you, that there's a reason why, that at least we know, instead of going project per project in case we want to trim this thing down a little bit, and not get rid of the project. I'm just talking about postponing the ones that can be postponed till next year. And I know that what that does is it drives some of the projects next year, or for 2027 into the 2028. But, we have to be realistic about how much, and the prices are just gonna keep going up. I mean, your 2027 and your 5-year CIP, it's not gonna be the same.
Which is why we should
Which-
try to get them constructed
Now.
this year before they
Yeah.
go up. But like I said, I mentioned a handful of new ones, not very many new ones. Most of these are like in process, and they are hard to stop at this point.
So how much of the reduction from the proposed budget to the amended budget, I think it's like about $40–50 million, is
50.
actually gonna roll into
Yeah.
the next year? So we've already got it underway.
Yeah,
And so they're not new starts.
they're not.
And the 5-year CIP basically tries to prioritize the work that needs to be done now. Because we're also looking at the Chrome 6 work that will fill in those out years and not give us the opportunity to do work that we could be doing now.
Okay, so what I would suggest then, if what you're telling me is true, is we need to go out and look at projects we haven't started that are in 2027 and 2028, and be proactive about this Chromium 6 and move those out to 29 and 30.
Which,
That's what we need to do. then.
well, which
I
we
mean-
which we have tried to do is we've laid out our 5-year CIP, and we've tried to stagger it so that it's, a manageable amount in each year, and we look at it every year and readjust those out years.
I know, but
But
if
these
we-
are our priority projects, and we've met with operations, and we've gotten their input. I mean, they want us to do a whole lot more, and we,
know,
we've had to
but-
say like, well, we gotta finish what we've started. So, I mean,
I know, I'm
there's
just saying, if
n-
with the board feels that maybe we're $30 million too much, and I understand what you're saying, a lot of these projects have already started, and we don't wanna do that, then the only way to get kind of in line is to look ahead.
yep, when we have,
Well, and maybe we have to look ahead a little bit more so we don't get in this situation where we started projects and we can't get out of. So what you're trying to tell me is that you're tying our hands for this year,
No.
pretty much, when you tell me that we can't, most of these projects have already been started. So,
well,
I mean, I'm just
not
speaking
trying,
freely
I'm
with
not,
you guys, that's
I'm
what
not trying to say your hands are tied. I'm just trying to let you know that we have momentum and we have contracts. And
that means
so
our hands are
we
tied.
want to, we
Pretty
want to
much.
finish the design, and we
So-
want to move into construction
so-
so that the documents don't get stale and things like
Carrie,
that.
I get you, and I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm just saying, let us know which ones are not, our hands are not tied, and those are the ones we're gonna have to go after.
Well, those
to
are,
slow this
those
train
are
down
those,
a little
those
bit.
are those $50,000 studies
I'll tell
that
you
I
what.
mentioned. There's only like a handful of them that are the new projects. Every project that is ongoing is in some stage of progression that needs to continue on its path because it has a contract, either a design contract or a construction contract.
So there's no new projects in the next 5 years that we haven't started?
Well,
Yeah, but
So
I s-
I get a little confused. We're talking about the current year, but then we're also talking about the 5-year. So, yeah, there are projects in the 5-year that haven't been started yet.
Okay,
But what
that's-
she's trying to say is that almost all of the projects in this year have been started.
I get it.
So there's no opportunity to move those out.
I get it. So now I'm on to the next year's.
Okay.
We can talk about that next year.
Well, we'll
but-
talk about that next year.
No, because next year I'll sit here and you'll tell me we've already gotten started on those, just like you just told me right now. I mean, I mean, I'm a little upset that you guys are telling me that almost all these projects, my hands are tied.
Well,
I
but
mean,
that's the
right?
nature of the business we're in, sir.
Okay, so
We're
let's-
providing continuity of service.
I
And we're
get
trying
it.
to make
So
sure that
let's-
there aren't emergencies.
But so don't tell me we'll work on next year's projects next year when I can't work on them next year. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I get it.
No, you're
But you,
I think you're gonna.
as a board, you guys focus
we
on the
may-
current year.
Yeah, we may find an opportunity in Talavera or the other one to slow down a little, depending on the amount of activity out there.
After these initial phases.
I know, we have this one. I know.
Did you say all phases?
This initial,
Yeah, no.
These
the
two
these
that
two,
we've
I
been
know,
trying.
these two, I think we're committed to them.
okay,
but-
good, good.
But it's, after that, maybe
Right.
we slow down, because those are in the 5-year, but
Right.
maybe we push them out,
Right.
or at least push some of them out.
If we can. I mean, we'll
Yeah.
take a look at the leaks,
Yeah.
and the condition of the
So
pipeline.
I do need to head out.
I know.
Apologies
Okay,
to the
I'll
motor
just,
pool.
I'll just say great
I gotta
job
run.
and,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that, obviously the Chromium 6 is probably gonna take a lot of your time, so imagine you're,
Yeah, so next year's budget's gonna look a whole lot.
yeah,
a
it's gonna be probably heavy
different.
on water. So,
'cause-
good job,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
thank you. Yeah, go
Yeah.
for it, you got 2 minutes.
You got 8 minutes.
What is he gonna say?
So I'm only sitting in because Stu's and his family issues in Jackson Hole, so bear with me. I don't know a lot about the fleet necessarily. I'm not a mechanic. So, as always, we committed to the board that we're gonna stay in the $2.8 million range per year for our fleet replacements. Our fleet value is in the $50 to $60 million a year. So, there's about a 22-year turnaround on all of our equipment over time. And that was a commitment Stu made when we started. It's getting a lot more difficult since, the CARB and South Coast have come into play. There are commitments to go to EV over time and/or some other type that is not diesel, fossil fuel, I guess you could say. So what we're trying to do is work with South Coast. We did a feasibility study with Black and Veatch that went very well, and they provided recommendations. We have also been working with BBK and South Coast directly to try to make sure that we're in compliance. Most public fleets in California are not in compliance with South Coast and/or the Air Resources Board in general. So I guess I'm going to show you 2 options, and why I said it would be in facetious 2 minutes, it truly is our option. This was where we were based on the zero emission fleet study. Excuse me, and it was 1.8 million, and we were only getting a total of 13 trucks within the first 2 tabs here, or first 2 tables. And if you look, some of our 1-ton trucks or 2-ton trucks were going to be $300,000 because they had to be electric, and that was the Zeus, which is the bodies up top. And we just tried to look outside the box for other alternatives, and we have 141 vehicles in our fleet that are between 1 ton and 3 ton. And so we said, is there any way to optimize the fleet and get them under 8,500 gross vehicle weight? And we were able to do that. So what we did is we took the truck on the right, which is 14,000 pounds, steel body, 1 ton to 2 ton heavy duty truck. And there are certain groups within our fleet that do smaller, more integral things, I guess you could say. So we took 4x4 half tons and we put on aluminum service bodies. They're more versatile in residential areas. There's areas, especially in like domestic production, that don't need the heavier duty trucks that we've used in the past. So instead of getting 11 1 tons at a cost of 300,000. We're getting 28 half tons with these service bodies. So we have 140 of them, and over the next 2 years, we're going to be able to continue to use gas-powered vehicles on, we're going to buy 58, 28 this year, 28 next year, at the same cost. So we're going to replace 56 one-ton vehicles without having to go EV at $300,000. And we're going to take some of those EV, or some of those 1 to 2 tons that we're replacing for smaller optimized work, only have 20, 30,000. We're going to shift those over as well. So long story longer, we're trying to delay the need for electronic vehicles in our medium-duty fleet. And I think we found an excellent way to do that, and it's going to save us a lot of money. These are 65,000 versus 150,000 per vehicle for gas or diesel powered, primarily gas, but we are replacing them. The other alternative would be a $300,000 EV. So that is our intent. What it also is doing is delaying, well, 2 things. One, we're going to need fuel for that much longer, unleaded gas. Our fuel tanks, we have 5 of them in our 2 facilities. They're getting older, so we're going to, in the next couple of years, we're going to need to upgrade our underground tanks for fuel. And then we are, in the outer years, in the next probably 3 years out, we're going to have to start looking at larger EV charging stations. Carrie and I are looking at a program with Luis D'Arco and a power supplier to do solar panels at the SREB, Steve Robbins building, and I guess directly west of our warehouse in Palm Desert. And we think we can drop in some electric vehicle charging stations there off the solar, and actually keep any of our EV fleet in the future that's mandated at that point in time in Palm Desert. So long story longer, we're a bigger bang for a buck. We're saving about 75,000 per vehicle. We can get 28 instead of 11 this year, and the same platform next year. And we are hoping to delay all this capital improvement as a result of the need for electric vehicles. So that's it. 3
Good.
minutes.
Just one comment question. I recall that at one point we were looking at generating something at maybe at Ward 4. Like, was that a proposal at one point, generating our own
I don't think so, sir.
energy as a solution to the EV? I thought
I think at
I
one
thought it
point we
was-
were looking at solar. Were we looking at solar at the wastewater plant? Yeah, we were looking at that at some point. But what we found, so we have power purchase agreements for existing solar, but we found a platform where instead of a 7-year turnaround, we actually start making money immediately, and we're in the final stages
Yeah.
of the planning process in
Okay.
Palm Desert.
I
So
don't-
we're looking at wastewater plant 10. There's a section that we're going to do EV. We're looking at in the short
Yeah.
term. That'll provide us immediate return on investment.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm getting confused, but I thought that I had seen a proposal about generating some energy through the treatment process, and maybe I got it. Yeah, maybe I got it wrong, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so I guess I'm really pleased with our approach and our new strategy on optimization. Stu and his team and the assistants have really looked throughout their entire fleets to look for opportunities to downside the fleet. So
Okay.
that's it.
Well, just one question. The check valves, there was nothing in here on the check valves that we talked about.
This was just CIB.
No, you did a good job on this.
My
I'm
check
going-
valves are in the operating budget that'll be presented, and I guess, not to sell the farm, I guess, we are strategically working with our other local water agencies and trying to find ways to delay the process for the first year, and try to find like cohesion in the group and work with a group in Orange County as well. So we're going to submit our plan, but our actual capital improvement specifically for the requirement, the devices, is reduced significantly from 1.6 million down to a couple $100,000 specifically. and they're mostly for new development. The actual backup for since 2011, I don't think we have hardly any in there, so.
But I thought we were trying to figure out what we were gonna do to ease some of the businesses.
Well, it's easing it the first year because we're not going to do anything.
Okay,
But
okay.
we've got 8 more years to
Okay.
figure
All right,
out
so
that
we
construct.
just kind of kicked down the road a little bit for a year
We
before
kicked the
have
can
to
a little
really
bit,
get
knowing
serious.
you're going to ask that question. And we, no, we're really trying to align. There's a lot of other water agencies that are interpreting the mandate differently, and we just want to make sure that we're all cohesive and we're all aligned throughout Southern California.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. I think this meeting is concluded. Thank you.